Hello everyone, I am Madhvi and I'm from the Regional Scrum Gathering volunteer team. So back on the Hangout series. This is the fifth episode of the Regional Scrum Gathering India Hangout series, and today we have Naveen with us, and the topic of the Hangout today is mystery behind the information radiators. And this is episode 5, as I mentioned. The topic, let me talk about few logistics for the day. The viewers of this Hangout, if you have any questions, you can tweet using the RSGI 2017 hashtag on Twitter. And after the Hangout, you have any questions you would like to get in touch with Naveen, who is a speaker for today's Hangout. You can always use our, again, hashtag and also the LinkedIn Scrum Gathering India LinkedIn group to post your queries. And I would like to just take a minute to talk about the Regional Scrum Gathering that is upcoming in Bangalore on September 6th and 7th. So these Regional Scrum Gatherings are the flagship conferences that are organized by Scrum Alliance. So this is the fourth Regional Scrum Gathering that is happening in India. And this will attract speakers and delegates from all around India and also outside India. So, and the theme for the Regional Scrum Gathering this year is Inspire Agility, how we all can inspire agility based on what we work and based on how we work with the teams. So that said, let's get into the topic of today's Hangout. Naveen, would you like to introduce yourself for the benefit of all our speakers? I know you're a well-known person in the industry, but I think for the benefit of everyone, would you like to do a quick introduction about you?
Hey, good evening to all the viewers. Hi, Madhvi. And basically, I am a passionate coach. So by profession, I'm a coach. And what I do is I love working with the teams to build a winning teams for the organization. When I say a winning team, I focus on making a team a self-organizing team. Apart from that, I'm also a trainer. So as a trainer, I do certified Scrum Master trainings and other Scrum trainings. So overall, I am a passionate guy about agility, predominantly in coaching.
That's great. And so Naveen, the topic of today's Hangout is, I think it is mystery behind information radiators, right? So it's really interesting for me when I look at the title of your Hangout. So Naveen, like, is there any, when you say mystery behind, right? Is there any history behind these information radiators? How did these actually get started?
Yeah, actually, that is what made me explore more about information radiator. In fact, I was just trying to see if we have some history behind this. And then the deeper I go into searching for when was information radiator first used, you would be surprised. I was not able to come up with the first information radiator used. Probably everything that we see around can be considered as information radiators. Example, say some of the monuments that are preserved now are actually information radiators, information being radiated. So when we talk about information radiator, they are nothing but radiating some kind of data or some kind of information that is helpful for the person who is looking at it. So you go to a monument and there is a information radiator about the monument. When was it created? Who created it? How old is it? And why is it important? All these are information radiators and the data in the information radiators. So if I have to trace the history, that is one of the mystery that I was surprised with. I couldn't come up with a starting point as information radiator because probably the human race, as we started, the information radiator was right there up. Because I come from a background where I feel the information radiator is essential for us for being effective and efficient. In fact, we talk about empirism and empirical process. Information radiators are probably the embedded part of empirism and inspecting adapting. So as we go back in time, probably early stages of human development, we had information radiators that would typically help everybody.
So that's interesting. Actually, I never thought about all this when I heard your Hangout title. These are great insights. So Naveen, again, a follow-up question to this, right? How do you think these informations are helpful? What is the purpose, right? How can the teams benefit from these information radiators, and how management can benefit, from information radiators?
Yeah, that's interesting. See, the very fact that information radiators radiate information And now the question is, what kind of data or what kind of information? So we could probably divide this into 2-3 parts, wherein information that is useful for management, information that is useful for team members, and information that is useful for anybody who's looking at it.
Okay.
Uh, Majorly, the focus or the purpose behind Information Radiator, many people think it is for status update, or it is representing the status information.
Okay.
The mystery or the truth behind us, Information Radiator's status information is actually a byproduct of Information Radiator. It is not the primary purpose. The primary purpose of Information Radiator is to take effective actions or decision-making capability looking at the data and the Information Radiator. For the management, Information Radiators helps with current information, but the actions that they take are more important rather than the data itself. And for the team, it is for self-organizing. So for example, if you look at the Information Radiator, how is this going to help the management? In fact, if you have a right information and the data represented, then the Information Radiator could help the management get the trust of the team members, the teams they're working on. For example, if the information radiates something specific about their project, what is happening with respect to our current situation? What is the current work that is being done? How much of work is being done? And that gives a kind of feel for the management. Yes, we are in the positive direction, or we are trusting our team members and our predictability is going better. Let's look at the other side. When the management looks at the Information Radiator, what they do is they get a bigger picture of what is happening in the organization so that they can make a strategic decision across the organization, not just looking at one project, but across the stuff. And the strategic decision making, which are essentially made out of different informations or data that is coming up. Okay, let's come to the team point of view. For the team point of view, the Information Radiators are predominantly for collaborating and self-organizing. Unfortunately, many teams think about Information Radiators or status update task boards. In fact, Information Radiators are not just the status update task boards. Yes, they do look at the task information at the point or radiate the current status, but the main purpose is to self-organize. That brings to a very interesting point for the viewers to understand. Is our team really self-organizing with the Information Radiators that we have? If the answer is no, then probably the Information Radiator, one, isn't effective for you, or the data representing isn't right information. Okay.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's like, a lot of times I hear, when we talk about Information Radiators, we just talk about task boards and, burn down charts. And very common symptom that we see is like, we don't want to update the task board, or we don't want to update the burn down charts because it is seen as an extra burden, rather than, a usual activity. So it's many people don't see it as something that will actually help them in ease their way of working. And you're right on the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, if you have a right Information Radiator, the right information represented, then the teams can even self-organize and also cross-function. So for example, I would like to just quote one of the examples. In an organization that I was coaching, the team members had a release, a physical release in about 3 days' time. And the coding people, the code development engineers were all done with their work. And the Information Radiator represented very clearly that the coding work, the reviews work, and the test case writing, everything were done. The only thing that was pending was functional test execution and regression testing.
Oh, okay.
You know what happened? The Information Radiator clearly displayed that these are the two things that are missing and yet to be completed. And the code developers volunteered working with the test engineers to understand, okay, give us the test cases, we will run the test cases. I mean, it triggers that cross-functional behavior and self-organizing behavior within the team when they look at the information in a serious way.
That's a great point, actually. Like Information Radiators playing a very important role in helping the teams to self-organize. I've really not thought about it. And that's a great point that you have made.
Yeah,
That's your
in fact, when I coach, one of my strategy in coaching is to use right information radiators with the focus of building a cross-functional team and self-organizing team. If the information radiator is not focused on these two aspects, when we are focusing on the team level, then probably our information radiator is incomplete.
okay. That's good. So Naveen, again, a thought comes to my mind, right? I just have a quick, question in my mind, right? So when we talk about information radiators, are you referring to, I mean, physical, post-its, like, these kind of a thing, or like, do these information radiators have any relation to the, ALM tools, like most of the organizations you use, like, Rally version 1. It's nowadays, it's like we talk about Agile, Scrum, Kanban. It's like we are glued to these tools. So when you're talking about information radiators, right? So do they have any relation with the ALM tools, or are you talking about radiating information only physically and not the electronic one?
The information radiators are independent of the type of display that it is going on. For example, the board that you have displayed behind you, which talks about a hashtag for Twitter, the title, and all those things, that is an information radiator. And you could, you have beautifully handwritten it and then posted it. You could as well keep a television screen and then display the whole information. So what happens is information radiators use tools to radiate information. Now the tool could be paper post-it. So the post-its, the papers, the rally, these are all tools.
Okay.
So tools by themselves are dumb.
Okay, that's a great point.
The team that is using should typically use it in such a way that they get the best benefit out of it. Okay. For example, a simple tool like a paper or a post-it has absolutely nothing, zero value. But when you write the title and then post it on your wall, that is an information radiator. Now you're using a tool that is a sheet of paper or a post-it to represent the information. So information radiator does not tell you how should you represent, but unfortunately, the information radiators have become more in discussion, more of popularity after the Agile buzzword that has been started off.
Yes.
Okay. So the moment somebody talks about Agile, the first thing that comes up to people's mind is like, oh, we need to have post-its, or we need to get a license for Rally, Jira, version 1, or any other tools.
Yes.
It is not the case. Okay. So typically the information radiators, they don't need any of these. And when I say information radiator, I am not talking about post-its. I am not talking about the tools that represent or display the information. You could use any.
The medium could be anything. Yeah, what matters is what you are actually radiating and how it is actually helping the teams and enable to, for them to actually self-organize and see where they are, their progress, and how can they use it to, to meet their goals.
Exactly. So that coming to this point, with the word mystery behind information radiator, I want to just connect two more dots that people would try to forget or not connect it in a right sense. One is the information radiator itself. Second one is the measurements or metrics, the data that we collect, the metrics, measurements.
Okay.
So the information radiators and the measurements, they both help us to inspect and adapt.
Okay.
Okay. Second thing is, since we collect the information and the data, the measurement, we are collecting the data has to be assessed or has to be analyzed, and effective action has to be taken. So information radiators do the second part of analysis. So first part is you collect the data, you analyze the data. When you represent the data, now you go do with that empirism. Okay, I am seeing that there is some data being represented. What effective decisions can I take? I'll give you a simple example. For example, if you are trying to drive your vehicle to a different location, say you want to drive for about 300 kilometers, and the moment you sit in the car and you switch on the key, you will see that the fuel indicator shows empty.
Correct. Yeah.
That is information radiator. The fuel indicator is an information radiator. the data that has been collected from the sensors, that is measurement.
Okay.
And now
Great point.
you as a driver, you're looking at that information. The first decision that you take is, let me drive down to our nearest gas station.
Okay.
So the information radiator, which displays the information or the data collected, helps the organization, helps the team to self-organize, inspect and adapt on the current situations.
Okay.
Now, for example, you have a good information radiator and you have right data, but your team members or the organization does not have the capability of taking a right decision, effective decision, then that information radiator is a waste. Example, the information radiator fuel tank is showing you that it is empty. You don't take a decision, you just try to drive at 300 kilometers. I mean, at the end of the day, you will stop somewhere with zero fuel. And somebody would come back to you and say, hey, what nonsense. The information radiator, the dashboard was showing you there is no fuel. Why didn't you fill up the fuel tank?
Correct, exactly. So that they're actually helping you, look at where you are and what they're actually triggering you, what action you should be taking next.
Yes, but one more very important point is information radiator by themselves don't give you any actions. They will help
just
towards the action.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Naveen,
that is very
that is actually a great point that you right. So that's it, right? Can you help me with some and also for the benefit of our viewers, right? What are some examples of information radiators that actually teams can actually use? Maybe whoever is using Scrum or Kanban, whatever, even if they're using a traditional way of working. So what are some kind of information radiators, some good examples that you have actually maybe used with some of your teams? Can you just help us with some good examples so that actually we can actually look at how we can use when we go back, or maybe which will help us think about what can we do with our teams, what can be radiate so it will help us and the teams.
In fact, way back in 2012, based on one of my research in the field of information radiator, I started using one specific information radiator with respect to definition of done. So this particular board, this particular information radiator that I'm going to show you now was actually published in PMI conference in 2012. So let me just show you that board. This is the board. Okay. What it talks about is, I just named it as Naveen definition of done board. And the concept is very simple. On one of the axis, you have all the definition of done. That is a capability of your teams. So you list down all your definition of done items of the teams. That is very specific. Now, on the y-axis, on the top low, what you have is a list of product backlog items that are pulled into the sprint. So I'm just calling now that as sprint backlog items, which are subset of a product backlog items here in this specific example. Now, this board, if you see, is indicating certain information. One, it's self-explanatory that a given product backlog item would be considered 100% done when all the definition of done are completed.
Correct. So it's like the done definition, which helps us whether backlog item is truly done or not.
True. And now, to maintain this board, it is very simple. Just go to the board, take a chalk and put a tick mark against it, which takes few seconds. Which just takes few seconds. Now, you see that there are some blanks. So the blank indicates that particular definition of done for that particular backlog item is not yet started.
Okay.
And you see some photos here, which are typically the initials or the name of the person working. So the team members can self-organize, saying, I'm going to work on, say, functional testing for this particular activity, for this particular product backlog item. So this could be like Naveen working on functional testing. You could say Madhavi working on code review for this particular stuff. So you put the name of the person against specific definition of done. So now what happens is, when somebody looks at this, they get a lot of information. One, from the management point of view, they know crystal clear how much is done, what is pending, who is working on this. And what is not applicable that the teams are not going to work on.
Correct.
Now, very essential part of Information Radiator is they should be simple yet effective to use. Let me just give you an example. Yeah, let me just give you an example. Look at this. In this definition of done, there is a question mark. It means team members have some kind of a problem, impediment, or some issues. Now, if the management is looking at this board, believe me, the managers will go back to the team members and ask, hey, can I help you with something? Why is there a question mark? Which means the management becomes part of the success of the team.
Yes.
Second, assume that there are other team members who look at this board. For example, let's assume that this is, say, a person, Anil, in our team working, and you and I look at this question mark. The first reaction that we have is, hey, Madhvi, can we just help this guy? What is the problem that he has?
Yes, that's actually a great thing. The question mark, like you're radiating that you are in a problem and who can help me with this particular, thing. That's a, great radiator. I mean, you're making it as part of your definition of done so that the team members are in agreement as to what do they mean when something is really done. And this is a great radiator. I think I've used a similar thing. I think I learned from you, Naveen, when I was, in your CSM class. I think you have shared this, and I think I used it with a few of my teams, and it really works well, I must say.
True. So what happens is this information radiator, with a lot of understanding psychology, it is actually based on human psychology as well. So based on the human psychology study, I have created this, and it is very easy to maintain. You won't believe, for the last 7 years, every team that I've been working, they use this.
Okay.
And I don't use the other information radiators where we have to do in progress done. Because this gives a lot of information, and this also eliminates the need for task. So you don't need task for here. So
correct. So it's like, all the tasks are automatically covered here. So that's a great thing. Actually, it's like it is like a replacement of your task board. Can I say that?
Yeah, this is a replacement, because now this is where I was trying to explain. Information radiators can be displayed with different tools. This is another tool.
Great point.
To put in is your team specific data. Okay. So this is definition of done board. It's a tool for the team members to use, represent their information about the project work, and it is very effective and efficient. Okay.
That's great.
In fact, I know a lot of companies are using this, and most of my CSM participants use this in their teams, because this self-organizes team members much faster than the other things.
Okay.
And you will be surprised the mystery behind Information Radiator. The one more point is, when I use this board, there is absolutely no need for a burn down chat.
Oh, how is it? Can you just explain?
Yeah, burn down charts typically tell you at any given point of time how much is spending.
Correct.
But the burn down chart does not tell you what is spending, because it is like a graphical representation. I'll show you a burn down chart. So this is a typical burn down chart. You can see here.
Okay.
This does not tell you what information is done, what is done, what is spending. It just tells you against the graph how much is spending at this point of time.
How much effort is remaining, what is remaining. But you can't exactly make out what item is done, what item is in progress, and where are we stuck on which item. That information is missing here.
Now look at this. You just stand in front of this. If you just pinpoint at this, it clearly shows that nothing in these 3 items are started.
Okay.
In this, you know that it is 100% done. You know, this is work in progress. This is work in progress. So how much is spending is basically the blank ones, and the work in progress ones, the question mark ones. So you get to know exactly what is spending, how much is spending.
Okay.
Now, there is a difference. I was telling the information radiators are for team as well as for management.
Okay.
Now, this kind of information radiators are useful for both teams and management, while the teams will become much, much better with this information radiators because they can self-organize. Now, when you look at the information radiators, which are like burn down charts, yes, there are which talk about the teams can self-organize on this, but to be very honest, I have not seen many teams self-organizing on the burn down chart. In fact, most people don't even update the information. That is the biggest killer for information radiators.
Okay.
So based on, do you want a eagle's view, how much is spending, or do you want a narrow view of what is spending?
Okay.
The management has to decide on that and use a right tool for information radiators for representing the data.
So Naveen, I have a follow-up question to this, right? I think this is a great example that you have shared. Now, what is the role of when we're talking about, maybe let's take an example for Scrum team, right? What is the role of a Scrum master or product owner, or maybe even a team member in maintaining these information radiators? Who should be using these, or who should be ensuring that teams are using this? I mean, what kind of decisions are have to be taken?
Very, very interesting. In fact, who is accountable for information radiators and keeping it up to date? I would say everybody in the team is accountable for keeping the information radiator up to date. For example, if the team members are working on it, the team members have to keep it up to date. Individual team member have to keep the information data up to date. Second, the Scrum Master, specifically with Scrum, Scrum Master should be constantly looking forward for what are the new tools to represent the data.
Okay.
Remember, information radiator radiates information. Tools are how do you represent this data? So Scrum Master should be constantly looking for what information radiator, what tools, what techniques will help my team, management, and the Scrum Master, product owners become effective and efficient in their decision making. So the Scrum Master's role is to constantly look for new ways of doing it, right information to be done, encouraging people to be keeping it live, making sure that the information radiators are live and used. That is one. Let me give you a worst case scenario. Product owner does not have an information radiator. Team members don't update the information radiator. In such case, Scrum Master is accountable for making sure that there is an information radiator. Team members know about information radiators, the purpose, and then keep it up.
So when you said the Scrum Master, right, I can actually relate to it. I think, I mean, it's like how creative or innovative can the Scrum Master be, and think of what information can he help the teams radiate that will actually enable them to assess their progress and look at their impediments that are really blocking them. That's a great point that you have made, Naveen.
Yeah, I'll just give you one example here. If you look at this is another information radiator. This was the information radiators that I put up on the wall of a senior management. Okay. This is an information radiator. This is a tool. And what was this talking about is information radiators for impediments, resolve them to make us effective. And this board was put on top of the senior management room because the Scrum Master had his own sphere of influence. Now, some things that the Scrum Master cannot finish off, that gets to the next sphere of influence where the managers can do it. Now, the management had 24 hours as an SLA for this. Now, if an impediment comes up here, the SLA for the management is within 24 hours, it has to be resolved. Otherwise, don't blame us as a team to be ineffective. So what happens is the management becomes part of the team's success, accountable for the team's success. And this is one simple information radiator. As a Scrum Master, when you note that, okay, there are certain things that are beyond your boundary, you can use information radiators to make the other person take effective and efficient decisions. I remember in one of my coaching, the Scrum Master put one impediment and it was not resolved for 2 days. The second day, the third day, the Scrum Master came in, he put up one more poster saying, my senior management is not resolving my impediment, and that is my impediment now.
Okay, that's a great one.
So
immediately reminds me, so this actually reminds me in one of our coaching engagement, right, we did something called as organization level idea and impediment board. And it's like, there were two columns that were made, like people can come up with their ideas and put it on the board, and any impediments that were not resolvable at the team level, they used to put it up on the board. And we had a specific format in which they can put up these items. And we used to do a leadership stand-up daily at, I think it was around 12:15, and each coach used to facilitate that stand-up every week. So it was great, right? It's like it was put up in a space, wherein it was, it was like put up in a walking space where every team member could actually look at it, every time they come into the office and go into the office. And the leadership, it's like, it was amazing to see that the leadership who were not even, thinking about their teams, they started coming to those stand-ups. And when they saw what kind of impediments the teams were running into, and when they actually saw their names to be, being put up as people who can help the teams, it's like, it was amazing to start seeing them sign up to help the teams, and it really worked out well. This reminds me of that example.
True. Yeah, that's one of the things that is very interesting. In fact, I want to give one warning message to our viewers. If the Information Radiator is not live or updated, then members can be considering it as micromanagement.
Okay.
This is a common problem that I hear. Many teams don't update the Information Radiator, which triggers the management to be micromanaging them, which is like a closed loop. Okay. The team members don't update the information. The management wants to know what is happening, so they get deeper. Because they don't get the information, they go deeper into asking. So it's a closed knot. If the team members update the information, managers will stop probably the micromanagement on gathering the information. So very interesting point. So whenever I talk to the team members and they have this question, isn't this a micromanagement? And I keep saying to them, look, the moment you keep the information up to date, your managers will never come to you because they get all the information they need on the board. The second thing is, I would like to just give you, the information radiators are predominantly for teams.
Okay.
Or for the person who's making a decision. I'll give you an example. If you look at a cricket match, the scoreboard that is displayed in the stadium is for the players, not for the audience.
Correct. Great. It's a valid point. Yeah.
Now, the batsman or the bowler looks at the scoreboard, and then their strategic decision making comes into picture. Their effectiveness comes into picture. For example, if you see a scoreboard which is talking about target 256 runs to win, but the current score is 220 runs, and you need to hit about another, say, 35 runs, 36 runs to win, but you have only 2 wickets remaining. Now, the batsman becomes more careful. He's not going to take unnecessary risk. But the same information for the bowling team, they try to put in extra pressure on the batsman. They try to restrict the runs. They try to put the batsman under pressure so that he makes a mistake. Now, it's the same information radiator, but used by two different people in two different ways.
Okay.
Now, in our office, information radiator about the product backlog items, the product items that are pulled into the sprints. One direction, the teams are getting the information and they are making strategic decisions. On the other direction, the management is getting the information and they're making strategic decisions. Both these people are making strategic decisions based on the information. You better have the information radiator live and trustable. Example, if you are a batsman or a bowler and the information radiator is updated every 30 minutes, what is the use of the information board, the scoreboard? It is updated every 30 minutes. So,
correct. It's like stale information. It's not going to help you anyway because it is showing some information which is actually out of date. It's not updated.
True. And I really want to point this out. When I talk to many people, they say you can update the task board during the daily stand-up meeting in Scrum or daily Scrum. Okay. And I say, hold on. Your information radiator has to be live. Yes, it is. At least I'm happy that you're updating once in a day. But if you can get to a habit of updating live, then it makes more sense.
Correct. I think there is a challenge, like even when I work with the teams, right? Because I'm a coach and I work with the teams. The challenge I see is teams, they don't really understand the importance of these information radiators. They take it as why we should be updating the task board. It's like an extra work for us. Why is the management or the leadership, they want to know what we are doing? Why don't they trust us? So I think that is a kind of mindset. Some of I have seen at few places, and there's a lot of resistance in updating these radiators.
That is a very common symptoms that you will see in any of the transformation initially. That is because one, it shows that the team members have not understood the need for information radiator. Why do we do it? So I'm just going to repeat that. The purpose of information radiator is to take effective and efficient actions. The decision-making capability, giving you the direction in which you have to think for decision-making. Second, for self-organizing.
Okay, great.
Third one is for helping you take collaborative actions.
Okay.
Teams have to be collaborative in actions. The fourth one for the specific team is it gives you a specific direction to move on. For example, if you see this as an information radiator, when there is a blank, you will know the team has to focus in that direction. So it's a very, very focused goal or direction oriented. So what happens is it becomes easy for the teams to focus direct. Now, when would the management be asking this? When the team members are not updating it. And remember, the scoreboard that I was talking about, cricket match, is exactly the same for both bowler and the batsman, but they're using it in different way.
In different ways. Correct.
Correct. So the information radiator for the team and the management, there could be an overlap or different. You got the point?
Okay.
Overlap or different. Most of the times there will be an overlap because some of the things will be common for both management and the teams for decision making. So what happens is the team's information and the common overlap should be, my recommendation as a coach, should be physical board which are present locally to the team because it is more for teams to self-organize.
Correct. Great. Yes, exactly. I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah. Information that are for the management and for other stakeholders or distributed people can be on a different tool. Example, you can for that use Rally, Jira, version 1, any tool you want, which is on centralized.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Which will help all the teams actually connect and wherein they can see something on a central location, especially when the teams are distributed across geographical locations. I think having some tool that will help in the cross-team collaboration across the boundaries will add a lot of value. But again, as you said, it depends on what information you are radiating and how the different personas are getting benefited out of it.
Now, let me give you the practical example here. This board that I was showing is physical board in front of the team members. They use it, they maintain it. Individual team members in the team maintain this for their effective decision making on a daily basis, hourly basis. It is for them. But the same information can be used by the management to say that, okay, what is the current state? So byproduct is a status update.
Correct.
Got it? Now, when I said that from the last 6-7 years, I'm only using this board, you know, most of the companies that I use, they use Rally, Jira and other tools. It doesn't mean that I will say, stop using them. What I do is, one example I'll give you so that people can understand. Let this board be physically present in front of the teams, and you can use Jira, Rally, version 1 or any of the tools for product backlog items to be displayed in the state where management wants to know what is happening in the team. For example, the moment the product backlog items are pulled into the sprint, you create a sprint backlog in the tools, which most of the tools give you. Create the tools. You don't have to create tasks. You don't have to do anything. Just move the story or the product backlog item into in progress or not started state.
Okay.
There is no intermittent states. When everything is done, you move that to done state. That is done and accepted state, or depending on what stages you use. So in the tools, in the software tools, soft copy tools, the information that is radiated about the information about the product backlog items are very specific. Not started, started, in progress, done.
Done. Yeah.
Because from the management point of view, I just want to know how much is done, how much is in progress. I don't want to know which task exactly is in progress. If you want to know that, that is like a overlap zone. Come to this board, you will find out the details.
Okay. Yes.
You got the point?
So, yes. So Naveen, a follow-up question. Okay, before I ask you the question, for the benefit of the viewers, again, let me just reiterate. I mean, the viewers, if you have any questions you would like to, ask Naveen at the end of the session, we will be taking the question and answer. So you can use hashtag RSGI 2017 and put your questions on the Twitter. So we will be taking all your questions at the end of the session. Okay. So Naveen, back to you now. I think I have a very, interesting question here. Now, what do you think is a minimum information that any information radiator can have? Because
Very
you have shown me the definition of done the radiator, that is really great. Like you've put a lot of things in one shot, right? It's like has a lot of information. But if I have to start, I'm new to the information radiators, and I'm really inspired by what you told me today. Or some of the viewers would they may want to go back and use some of the radiators. So what is the starting point? What is the minimum information that any radiator can have?
Superb. For this, what I would recommend is the team members to sit together and ask each other what information, what data is required for us to take actions.
Okay.
That is the first data that comes as an information radiator.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Assume that you have a nightly build or overnight build setup done. Like a very simple example of a continuous integration done. So I'm giving you an example of an overnight build done. So you have a system where you do an overnight build and sanity test. The moment you come to office the next day morning, you could just you can see in most of the companies, they use a simple LED or a bulb which shows red or a green. Red is broken, green is everything is going on fine so far. Now, if I come back one step, I want to know if the build is broken or not. If the code is good or bad. Now, my question is, I want to know, is the build broken? And information radiator has to respond to that question. So information radiators have to be created in such a way that you can get the answers for your questions to inspect and adapt. Now, what are the simple things? What are the simple? One, we want to know if the team is creating new information radiator. One of the things that management and the teams wants to know is what is the short-term goal that they have planned for. That is typically the sprint backlog or the goal for the sprint. Put that in. So list of product backlog items pulled into the sprint. That could be one of the information radiator data. Who is working on what information, what activity? That could be the second one. See, these are the things that are helping the team members. Now let us look at the management point of view. You could have an information radiator which is as simple as a tick mark against a product backlog item, saying this particular product backlog item is 100% done. Just put a green or something, wherein product owner, just looking at it, he will realize that, oh, this item is 100% done. Maybe if I want to sit next to the team member and ask for a small review or something, I can just sit next to them and do informal stuff. Okay. So it becomes one easy. Now, irrespective of what data you bring in, see, this is where I don't want to give you an exact question, because I would encourage team members to come up with their questions and answers. So the best way is to have the whole team sit together and ask certain questions. What is important for us to inspect and adapt?
Adapt, and what data will actually help us, to reflect, to see where we are, and then make up your own information radiator. So I think much depends on the context of the teams and the type of work they are doing. I think
exactly. I'll give you another example. In one of the retrospectives, the team members asked me, "Hey Naveen, how do we remember all these things that we have just discussed?" I said, write it down on a sheet of paper, put it on the team room, and actually they took a A2 size sheet of paper, a flip chart paper, wrote down these are the actions that we are going to use, or these are the actions that we are going to focus on, and put it on the wall. Now that wall with that poster became an information radiator, radiating actions from the retrospective. Because the question was, how do I remember this information?
Yes. I think this brings me, I think this reminds me of something, working agreements, team working agreements. Generally when we start working with the teams, I think that is also a great information radiator where, only when it is actually put up in the team's base, somewhere it is visible. Most of the times what I see is, we tend to do a lot of these information radiators. We come up with team working agreements, we do a retrospective, come up with the action items, but it just stays in the email, which no one actually bothers to open up. It's not like we don't want to read them. We get caught up in the daily work and we forget about them. So I think what point you're making, putting it up on the walls, making it visible in the team space adds a lot of value, and it actually reminds people to, do and, abide to something that they have actually agreed on.
True. So this is where I would like to just tell you about characteristics of a good information radiator, like what qualifies to be a good information radiator. A good information radiator is something that is the first and foremost, it has to be up to date and live. See, you may have many people say the information radiator has to be big, visible, bold, everything. For example, the board that you have behind you is really big, visible, simple, okay? Self-explanatory. These are all the qualities of a good information radiator. But then, if this was the information about the previous Hangout, then this board is a waste.
Correct, exactly.
So, the primary
to make it
primary aspect of a good information radiator is it live and up to date? Example, I go to a team, I go to their information radiator. It could be a dashboard of a Rally tool or a Jira version 1, or it could be a physical board. I go to the team's information radiator at 3 o'clock in the evening and I look at the board. The data should represent whatever is live up until 3 o'clock. I go back to my desk, I come back at 4:30. The information radiator should be representing the data as of 4:30, not as of 3 o'clock. That is one of the primary aspects of a good information radiator. After that, we have all these big visible radiators. Physical board is much more psychological and things like that. But I want to give you one more example. If you're an audience in the stadium watching a cricket match, the information radiator that is for the players can also act as an information radiators for you to look at the status of the match.
Correct. Yeah.
But if I am watching the cricket match in my computer or in my television, I don't have the visibility of an information radiator, and it is not visible to me. So what happens is you start seeing there is a small scrolling scoreboard that goes on the screen. If you're watching a cricket match on the television, you start seeing small scrolling numbers or the information. And if you notice, you asked me a question, what basic data should be there in the information radiator? In the television screen, the scores, how many wickets, the over, the current run rate, these are all displayed as bare minimum requirement for knowing what is happening in the system.
Okay.
And now the information radiator for the teams which are in the stadium is physical and visible to the players, but the one that is on the soft copy, that is the scrolling on the text bars, is not visible to the team members, but it is visible to the stakeholders like me. Now, this kind of physical board or any equivalent is for the teams to self-organize. But if you have a Rally Jira version 1, the management, when they cannot come to this board and see it, at least they should know what is happening at the high level, and relevant information should be updated in the tools like that.
That's great. So I think, Naveen, you actually shared a lot of points. We spoke about, if information radiators have any history, where they come from, and then we spoke about what kinds of information radiators can be used, how it helps actually the teams, then the management, and how often they should be updated, and all the stuff. Now, I think, now that we just have 10 more minutes for closing our Hangout, right? Do you have any concluding thoughts, like thought-provoking questions or insights for our viewers who are watching this Hangout live?
Yeah, most of the times I ask a couple of questions because I would like to trigger the thought process of the viewers as well as my teams rather than suggesting them do this, do this. So one of the things that I would like to ask, I mean, there are a few questions that I would like to just ask so that people can get the best out of this hangout and the discussion. First and the foremost, please go to your teams. And if you are a team member, please ask yourself, is your current information radiator live, up to date?
Okay.
That is a decision maker. That is a point where you know whatever you're doing is worthwhile or not. Example, if your information radiator is live, the live and up to date, meaning 3 o'clock, it should represent 3 o'clock data, 4:30, it should represent 4:30 data, 9 o'clock in the morning, it should represent 9 o'clock data, not once in a day. So that is the stuff. That is
That's
the first.
a lot of work for the team to actually do, keeping
It's
it live.
actually not. It is actually not. If the team members feel that it is a lot of work to keep it live, you're using a wrong tool. You're using a wrong technique.
Okay.
You got the point. See, the connection between information radiators, measurements, and tools and techniques. So if your information radiators are hard to maintain, your techniques tools are wrong.
Okay.
So change your tools, change your technique. Okay. The next one is, if the information radiators are live, then the next set of things come up. If it is not live, the team members, management, especially I would like to ask all the senior management and the sponsors in the organization, if they don't see a live information radiators, they should go ahead and ask why the information radiators are not live. Is it because of the tools? Is it because of the overhead work? Is it because of the technique that we are using? Is it because people are not interested in doing it because they don't understand what they're doing? What is the problem? That is the first question that we need to answer. Okay. The next one is, every team member should understand what is the data that is very specific to the team for self-organizing and what is the overlapping data for the management to get the information. So every team will have information radiator which will have team specific plus overlapping data. So ensure that at least the overlapping data is visible to the team and management either in physical or in soft copy. And very specific to the team, it could be like dashboards which are very private to the teams in their team rooms or walls. Now, every data that you are displaying, you ask the team members, do you know why this data has been displayed? What would you do with this data?
What is the value of using that? How is it actually helping you?
Exactly. Yeah. For example, every car has a dashboard in which there is a fuel indicator. You know very clearly the fuel indicator is for me to take actions when the fuel is low.
Okay.
Does your team member know why they're representing number of user stories in the information radiator, why they're representing tasks in the information radiator, why they're representing to do in progress done, why they're doing it? Do they know that? That's the second question the management has to ask and the team members have to answer. The next thing is, the information radiator has to be live. It has to change. Example, old data, that is old data. I'm now not talking about a specific, for example, information radiator that is such as, say, number of tasks started off. That is one. What I'm talking about is new structure of information radiator should be always be incorporated.
Okay.
You'll be surprised. I'll give you one example. In one of the teams, when we were using this, there was one functional testing as a definition of done. Okay. And the team members, they came back to me and they asked me like, Naveen, functional testing, it is going on. Naveen is working on it, but I don't understand what is happening in between. What can I do?
Okay.
And my response to them was very simple. How many total functional test cases do you have? 120. Superb. On day one, how much have you done? Oh, I have executed 45. Then go ahead and write here 45 out of 120. Second day, 90 out of 120. Now you know that it is progressing. You know how much is pending, and this is very specific to the team.
Great.
Got the point?
Great.
So that is one of the things wherein the new data should come in, new types of data should come in, because constantly team is maturing. As the team matures, they don't have to use the redundant data or information. In one of the organizations, we started off with an information radiator which was 6 feet by 6 feet.
Oh.
Okay, a whiteboard which was 6 feet by 6 feet. Yes.
Okay.
In about 4-5 months later, when I visit the same team as a coach 4 to 5 months later, I was surprised that 6 by 6 was actually 6 by 18. They almost doubled. And I was like surprised, what are the information that you have added? And they started saying, we have displayed the build numbers, how many test cases passed in that build number. Build numbers, how many known defects in this build number. The customer raised issues, how much is fixed and what is the due date. So they have added a lot of information with respect to that. And the third board was with product owner. He said, Naveen, we have about 75 features to be done, or 75 product backlog items to be done for physical release. And he has put all 75 features on the wall, and he puts a cross mark after he has accepted everything. So
that's great.
The team members clearly knew how much is pending for a physical release.
Correct. So I think this reminds me of the big program boards that we do after we do a release planning, where we can actually see the different teams, their backlogs and the dependencies mapped out. I think this reminds me of that example, and they really add value. It's just we need to realize that, and I mean we need to get buy-in from the team management to actually use such things. It's only when you start using you realize the value of it.
True. And also you will realize that people have to be serious about it. So my next question to the audience is like, please go back to your team members and ask, are you people really serious about what is being displayed and how it is going to be used? If the team members are not serious, it is no use, because they're going to update it in wrong timing. They're going to update with the wrong data, and it is absolute nonsense. So you don't have to do it. And the last one that I would say is, if your information radiators are not changing the patterns, the recognizing stuff, then it will either make you or break you.
Great point, actually.
Yeah. So the whole team, their effectiveness, I mean, I can actually judge on the team's maturity, effectiveness, just by looking at their information radiators. You just look at the information radiator, and that will tell you the team dynamics and the team behavior patterns, how they are. A good information radiator, live information radiator, would help the team become more matured and self-organizing faster, better. So, you have to give a lot of importance to information radiator, because that is a tool for you to inspect and adapt and become effective and efficient. Lastly, information radiators are everywhere. You cannot live without information radiators. Everywhere. Okay. It could be in traffic signals. It could be in our car's dashboard. It could be as simple as your background. It could be, say, for example, the times that we use, anything, and everything is related to information radiators, and we should adhere to it. Myth about information radiators. Information radiators, task boards are not related to Scrum.
Correct. It's like, you've made a great technique. Point. Yes, it's like, sometimes even when I started working with the teams, I thought, and when I started reading about information radiators, I thought, okay, so I think if Scrum team should be using information radiators like task boards, or maybe burn up charts, because I've started reading about information radiators only when I started working with Agile and Scrum. So even I used to have this belief that okay, it is something related to only Scrum teams. But I think after I spoke to you, after I listened to you, I think it's not about Scrum or Agile. It's like they're there everywhere around you.
Yes, and not just that. Information radiators are like souls. You are using them to become better. Okay. And what can I say? The second myth about information radiators are Kanban. Kanban, the board. Basically, Kanban is a card, working card, or a flow. Yes, Kanban uses information radiators or the board, the Kanban board. Okay. But many times what is happening is people and organizations whom I have seen, they feel and they think just by implementing information radiator, they are agile. That is wrong. Just by having a task board, just by using a tool like Rally, Jira, you're not agile.
Correct.
You are going to make effective and efficient decision. Only then you're getting closer to being agile with your values and principles. Okay.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
any teams can use information radiator. For example, if there are viewers who are using waterfall framework, they could also use information radiators and be effective and efficient. Organization sees success with effective use of information radiators, not using Scrum. So there are good teams which use Scrum plus effective and good information radiators. But if you don't use Scrum and good information radiator, you are still effective and efficient because it is helping you make a decision. So do not confuse with information radiators as a substitute or addition to Scrum. Scrum is a framework. Information radiators is a tool that helps you take effective and efficient decision at the team level, the management level, which makes your life, which makes your product development much better.
Okay. These are really great points that you have shared today, Naveen. So I think we just have a couple of minutes for closing the handout today. So let's do one thing. Give me a minute to just check if we have any questions on our hashtag, Twitter account.
Okay.
Just give me a. Yeah, I think we have one question that is coming up. So I think the person says, "Hey Naveen, I am working as an agile coach in one of the organizations, and I'm helping the teams, and they are using Scrum framework. So can I use? I mean, as a coach, right? Are there any information radiators specific to a coach that can help me when I am coaching the teams? That will help accelerate the team's agile journey." So I think so. This question is about. I think this person is a coach working with this team. So he's asking you, are there any information radiators that can help him as a coach?
Yeah, one of the information radiator that I would specifically use. See, as I said, every information radiator is answering one of the questions that you want to or address. So in most of the organizations, when I start coaching, as a coach, I have one information radiator, which is a list of calendar dates that I'm available. For example, an organization asked me to coach for about, say, 90 days. Now, I create a chart of 90 days, and it will be a number 1 to 90 printed big, and I put it on front of the team board with the header, coach available for, and every day I will scratch out one day as we pass through. So what happens is the team members know how many days the coach Naveen is available for us. So in the beginning, many people have this problem. In the beginning, the team members don't approach the coach for gaining information, knowledge, or getting coached. They feel like, okay, this is the person. But as the value of the coaching is realized and the number of days for coaching is coming down, they see this graph showing or the chart showing, oh, Naveen is only available for the next 15 days. Oh, hold on, let us make the best use of this person now. So that is one of the information radiator. I don't keep it in my desk. I keep it at the team's visibility. That's one of the information radiator that I use. The next one is very interesting one. As a coach, and when I coach the team members as well, I actually don't send the meeting invites.
Okay.
You'll be surprised.
Interesting.
And I don't recommend people sending meeting invites, especially the Scrum Masters, because the moment you start sending meeting invites, it becomes like a person who's base necessary to come there, or basic necessity that somebody has to tell me that there is a meeting. Instead, what we do is we create an information radiator. I write down this. Hey team, when are we going to have our sprint planning meeting? So we all the teams will sit together. We are going to ask, when are we going to have a sprint planning meeting? And people say like, okay, we're going to have a sprint planning meeting on Wednesdays, 2 o'clock. Superb. I take a sheet of paper, I write down Wednesday, 2 o'clock at this room is our sprint planning meeting. The next one, when do we have a retrospective meeting? When do we have a daily scrum? Which location? What time? So I create the full schedule of the team in a sheet of paper and I ask them, hey, now that you know when is this meeting, what time is the meeting and which location, do you have any questions? They say, no, done. Go set your own meeting invite. See you at 2 o'clock on Wednesday for sprint planning meeting.
Okay.
That is an information radiator that is posted on the team room or a team space where everybody can see and there is no special meeting invite sent. Why? Because coming to that meeting is part of your work.
Correct. It's a responsibility of everyone. It's not like the Scrum Master is not the person who has to remind the teams, come on guys, let's go for a meeting.
Exactly. So the goal of a Scrum Master, or I as a coach, I would recommend make yourself redundant as early as possible.
Okay.
Now, the day the team members feel like, Naveen is not any more useful for us, that's the day as a coach I win. And that's the day I would mark it as like my information radiator shows that I'm out of the system.
Okay. That's a great one. So let me just check if there are any other questions on the Twitter or LinkedIn. Just let me just open the other window also and just see that once. Just give me a minute. So I think Naveen, now we have one more question which talks about. Yeah, so Naveen, my teams do not update the information radiator. So as a coach, when I try to motivate them to update the information radiators, they see it as a micromanagement tool. So they perceive it as the management wants to micromanage the teams using these information radiators. So how can I help these teams understand that these radiators are not for micromanagement, but it is for the team? So any thoughts about how I can coach the team members?
Very interesting. There are two things that I would like the person to focus on. One, is the data being asked to update? Is it under the overlap zone or a very specific to team zone? If it is the overlap zone, you should work with the management to understand what the frequency of update that they need.
Okay.
So, for example, if there is an overlap zone, the management may not be taking a decision every hour, every half a day or every day. So you can have certain data which is overlapping, which helps both the people, but it can be updated later on. So make sure that each field in the information radiator has kind of like a focus of what is the best time to update this information and who. That is the first point. The second one is the very fact that the team is not updating, or you're asking the team members to update at a wrong frequency for the overlapping zone. Team members will feel like, this is too much of micromanagement. It is too much of time consuming. So one, segregate the data that has been displayed to what is really important for the team and to be live. Second one, what can be at a different frequency, and keep the information live so that the team members feel that, yes, this information is for us and we are accountable for it. And the benefit is for them rather than anybody else. So as a coach, as a Scrum Master, what I would recommend is just sit together with the team, ask them, hey guys, please tell me what are the questions you want to be answered. And those questions translate as an information radiator.
That's great. So I think you have shared, great tips as to how he or she can work with the teams. That's a great point that you have made, Naveen. So I think what we'll do in the interest of time, I think we will not take any more questions. But again, this is a message request to all our viewers. So in case you have any questions on information radiators or any other topics, right? You want to connect with us, you want to talk to Naveen, you can still use our hashtag RSGI Twitter 2017 to post your questions, your feedback and views on the webinar. And also you can log on to scrumgatheringindia.com. If you would like to know the latest updates, we have a series of blogs coming up, so you can visit this website and see what is the current updates on the Scrum Gathering. And also we have a LinkedIn group, Scrum Gathering India. It's on LinkedIn, so you can join this group, send a request, and we will be happy to have you as part of this LinkedIn group, so where you can actually interact with all the delegates who are already added to this LinkedIn group. And again, a reminder to all the viewers. So please do join us. The Scrum Gathering, the regional Scrum Gathering is scheduled to happen on September 6th and 7th in Bangalore. So do register for the conference and join us. And I think Naveen, if I'm not wrong, you are a speaker, right, in the Scrum Gathering?
Yeah. Yes.
What's your topic? So, I mean, I don't want you to, tell everything about the topic now because I mean, again, it's like you're leaking the information. But what's the topic? What are you talking about?
Very simple. I'm going to talk about leadership and how do you build the teams to the next level. What are the leadership aspects that are either missing or required for ensuring we build up winning teams? So leading people to the next level, inspiring the teams is one of the basic agenda of my topic.
That's
In fact, the talk is going to have some kind of examples as well as a few videos where people's thought process will be there, and I can assure you, people who will attend the session will enter with a specific thought process about leadership. When they walk out of it, when they walk out of the room, their thought process about who is a leader, what is leadership, will 100% change for good. And I would look forward for many people to watch out.
Then I think, yeah, I'll not miss your session. I'll ensure that I attend your session at least. I mean, it sounds to be really interesting, and about leadership, changing the thought process, which is one of the main focus area for all our coaches who are actually day in day out working with all the teams and leadership.
Yeah.
So I think with this, I think we can conclude today's hangout. Thank you, Naveen. Thanks a lot for participating in these webinar series and sharing your thoughts on information radiators. I think now it's like very clear the mystery behind information radiators. The mystery part is very clear. You've shared a lot of insights on that. And a big thank you for all our viewers who have joined. I think so this time we had good number of viewers. I can see on a Google Hangout page, we have a lot of participation this time. So thank you all the viewers who have taken time and joined this Hangout, and thank you for the questions. And we hope to meet you during the Regional Scrum Gathering scheduled on September 6th, 7th in Bangalore. So please do register, and we look forward to meeting you all. And don't forget, you have any follow-up questions, you need to say any information, latest updates, blogs, you can always log on to scrumgatheringindia.com and check it out.
And
so
and for people who are also interested in sending out a questionnaire, which are some of the questions which are not answered or coming up later, even for offline viewers, they could just email me or send a question to you, and I can answer them offline, and that would be good.
You can always put it up on the Twitter or maybe on the LinkedIn page. So I mean, wherever they are comfortable with, and we will always take it up and ensure that we get back to you.
Yeah. So my full name is Naveen Nanjundappa, so people can just search for it, and then you get to message me on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much, Madhvi.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today, and a big thank you again to all our viewers. And do register for the upcoming Scrum Gathering. We hope to see you all there and meet you. Thank you and bye.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.